Secretary of State Antony Blinken. If you don't know what's going on with Africa, they're trying to get Africa on board with their Russia hate. Africa's not on board with it. So we talked about, we had Hermela on earlier from Ethiopia, not early, but before, about to talk about the Horn of Africa with Somalia, Ethiopia, and Reedy. Is that how you say that other country? There's a lot. And so what the United States is doing is pressuring countries in Africa to go along with the Ukraine war, meaning with the NATO version of it, and to try to not do business with Russia and stuff like that. So that's what's happening. Well, Secretary of State Antony Blinken says U.S. is an equal partner with African countries. You ready for this? The United States' top diplomat is in South Africa as part of a three-nation tour of Africa, including Congo and Rwanda, in what is seen as a contest between Western nations and Russia to win support from African countries over the war in Ukraine. Blinken said that the United States and African nations can't achieve any of our shared priorities, whether that's recovering from the pandemic, creating broad-based economic opportunities, addressing the climate crisis, expanding energy access, revitalizing democracies, or strengthening the free and open international order if we don't work together as equal partners.
Get the jokes?
Oh, shit. Sorry. Fuck. By the way, can I just go back here? Imagine the balls to go to Africa and say that, to say this with that stupid fucking map sitting over your head. Hey, I don't know if you guys saw Marvel's Black Panther, but if you recall, the CIA helped King T'Challa in his fight to save Wakanda. I rest my case. Please condemn Russia. Okay. So they want to, if we don't work together as equal partners. No shit, as exploited African countries, we hadn't ever considered how being unequal partners might keep us from achieving our shared priorities.
Can you imagine saying to Africa, do you know if you're not equal, things aren't going to be so good?
You got to be more equal, you guys. Blinken's tour follows recent trips to African countries by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and French President Emmanuel Macron. South Africa is among many African countries that have taken a neutral stance on the Ukraine war, which is, I guess, pretty nice of them considering the non-neutral stance we took on apartheid. Take a guess which side we were on that one. It turns out only Lethal Weapon 2 was anti-apartheid. The United States was not. Before his speech, Blinken met in Pretoria, South Africa's administrative capital, with Minister of International Relations Naledi Pandor. Pandor appears to have maintained her country's refusal to criticize Russia for its invasion of Ukraine. So let's get to that. So here she is. She's going to talk to Blinken. Here we go.
To come in and seek to teach a country that, we know how democracy functions, and we've come to tell you, you do it, it will work for you. I think it leads to defeat. So we need to think in different ways. I also think that one of the lessons we also need to learn and perhaps draw lessons from, one of the experiences we should draw lessons from, is the reality that there has been a lot of external interference in Africa. And a lot of that external interference has fueled conflict in many African countries.
Now, by external interference, she means you motherfuckers in the United States. That's what she means. Okay.
Has fueled instability, has supported opposition groups against liberation fighters, and so on. You know the history, perhaps better than myself. This is a reality. So in my view, while there may be concern about Wagner Group or Van Dijk, which is another security group which was in Mozambique, there's also a concern about countries that have mineral interests in African countries and are there as a destabilizing force. So I think we need to look at the full plethora of problems that give rise to insecurity, bad governance, and the absence of democracy on the African continent. It's not a one-country problem. It's a world phenomenon which results from Africa's rich mineral wealth that has made it a significant target of external players that don't always have the interests of Africa at heart.
So let me bring in Max on that. So she's sitting there, she's lecturing the Secretary of State from the United States, Antony Blinken, and saying, you MFers have been effing around, and there's a lot of reasons there's instability here in Africa, and it's not just one reason. A lot of it has to do with the United States imperialism. That's what she's saying, right?
Yeah, she's giving him the ANC line. I mean, this is the party of Mandela. I mean, it's certainly not the noble resistance party it once was, and it's filled with corruption, as so many ruling parties are. They've been in power for long enough.
They're Democrats basically now.
The Democrat, whatever. But they have a strong independent line that comes from their unique history and their alignment as a non-aligned nation. They're part of the BRICS alliance with Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And those are all countries, particularly India, which have frustrated the United States in their neutral position on the Ukraine-Russia conflict. So where does South Africa's independence comes from? It comes from the fact that the U.S., as you mentioned, Jimmy, supported the apartheid Afrikaner government. Sorry, the apartheid Afrikaner government. It supported their military. It helped provide them via Israel with nuclear technology. It supported the apartheid government of Rhodesia. It supported the assassination of one of the most historically important leaders on the African continent, Patrice Lumumba, who attempted to unite African leaders in a broad Pan-African front through Operation Timberlake. Frank Carlucci, then CIA director, directly participated with the Belgian former colonial masters in planning the assassination of Patrice Lumumba and his replacement with one of the worst dictators on the continent, Mobutu Sese Seko. And of Congo was destabilized through, as she points out, Minister Pandor, a rush on minerals that led to the worst genocide after World War II. The Soviet Union, which was based in Moscow, supported SWAPO, the anti-apartheid forces of Namibia, which then proceeded to battle the South African army and successfully liberated Namibia from minority rule. The Soviet Union supported the MPLA along with North Korea and Cuba and China in Angola to liberate that country from colonial rule and provide it with independence. And those countries combined together with internal forces in South Africa that were opposed by the United States and its allies, liberated South Africa. And it was Fidel Castro who said, it was Nelson Mandela who, under questioning by Ted Koppel in a forum put on after South Africa's liberation before an American audience, was questioned about why he maintained friendships with Fidel Castro and Palestine Liberation Organization chairman Yasser Arafat. And he said, I think I would know better than you about their struggles. And if it wasn't for Fidel Castro, South Africa would not be free, because Cuba sent 80,000 fighters to Angola and to the African continent to battle the South African apartheid government backed by the United States. And who armed them? The Soviet Union. So these relationships are still there. And Tony Blinken seemed completely ignorant when he went into South Africa with total arrogance, demanding that they break free from their historical relationship with Russia and other non-aligned countries. And furthermore, we've seen from an unnamed White House official, as reported in U.S. media, that the U.S. has been threatening African nations that do not obey U.S. sanctions on Russia with sanctioning them. So the U.S. is still behaving in a nakedly neo-colonial manner. That's why Blinken left South Africa with egg on his face.
Okay. So I
they
didn't
could
know.
get canceled if they don't.
I didn't know that about Cuba. I didn't know that about Russia actually fighting against apartheid or helping fight against apartheid in Africa. So I didn't know about that history. I do know the history of the United States being on the wrong side of every conflict in Africa, and trying to help terrorists take over. Anybody that's going to be there to help the people, the United States will hurt. And of course, Africa, it's not a poor continent. It's rich with all kinds of natural resources and minerals. They've just been exploited. Hey, we're coming to Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Detroit, Los Angeles, Spokane, Tacoma, Denver. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for all our tickets for all our live shows. See you there.